Hello everyone. So in the recent budget, the government of India has decided to abolish Google tax or Equalisation Levy. Equalisation Levy, which is informally also called as Google tax. As you can see it here, various newspapers they have covered that this very important tax, Google tax, has been abolished by government of India in this budget. It will be effective from 1st of April. In this particular video, we will be seeing what is Equalisation Levy, why it was initiated, why or for on what companies do we impose Equalisation Levy, and nextly why government is removing it now. So let's first discuss what is Equalisation Levy, what is the need of implementing Equalisation Levy. So see, let's take an example here. In order to understand, let's take one example here. Let's say there is a business or there is a businessman here in India. Let's say that person, his name is Ram. Now Ram is a businessman in India. Now Ram wants to promote his business. He wants to give advertisements of his business on social media companies. Let's say Ram gives his advertisement on YouTube. Now when he will be asking YouTube to give his ads on YouTube's video, YouTube will be asking some money for it. Let's say Ram pays 1000 rupees to YouTube for showing his advertisement on YouTube's video. Now the thing is, YouTube has made money from an Indian person, and the advertisements also YouTube is showing to Indian population, but YouTube refuses to pay tax to Indian government. YouTube says that we are not a company whose headquarter is in India, we are not registered in India, we are a company of USA, and hence we will be paying tax to USA, not to India. On the other hand, the logic of Indian government is because this money YouTube is making from India, YouTube should pay the taxes here in India, not in USA. Anyhow, India, it has signed with many countries an agreement which is called as DTAA, Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement. Under this agreement, a company which is doing business in more than one country will be paying tax only in one country, not in more than one countries. So because India has signed DTAA with many countries, India also is not able to force these companies to pay taxes in India. I hope the issue is clear to you that many multinational companies who are not registered in India, whose headquarter is not in India, even though they are making money in India, they are not paying taxes to India, right? So a solution to this problem was suggested by government, or government came up with a solution to this problem. Government said, let's say in this case only, if Ram is paying money to YouTube, we are not able to take tax from YouTube, but what we will be imposing is something called as Equalisation Levy. In this case, what will be happening is, if Ram is paying some money to a non-registered company, a non-resident company of India, and the amount which Ram is paying to that company is more than 1 lakh rupees per annum, then in that case, on the total revenue which Ram is paying to that company, 6% of that revenue or 6% of that amount has to be paid by Ram to the government of India. I hope it is clear. So let's say Ram pays in total in a year, let's say Ram pays 5 lakh rupees to YouTube. In that case, 6% of 5 lakh rupees Ram has to first pay it to government of India. So government is not taking tax directly from YouTube, but from the businessmen of India. Government will be taking 6% of the total revenue, total amount which Ram is paying, not the profit which YouTube is making. So I hope the objective of bringing Equalisation Levy is clear, that it helps the government to get the revenue in the form of tax. Another objective of the same is, let's say there is one more company which is of Indian origin, which is registered in India, and that company also does the same work. or Ram can give his advertisement on that company also. Let's say the name of the company is X. In such a case, if X is showing the advertisements of Ram, if X is making money out of it, X, the company X has to pay taxes to India, that is corporate tax. But YouTube is not paying that tax to Indian government. So I hope it is clear that companies which are of Indian resident, these companies, they are at a disadvantageous position because they are not treated equally with the company which is not an Indian resident company. So in order to bring equality among these two kind of companies, government has brought equalization levy. So let's again summarize what is equalization levy. Equalization levy 1.0, it was introduced in the year 2016. It will be imposed on non-resident companies, the companies which are not, or the companies which don't have headquarter in India, and the companies which are providing online advertisement and related services to Indian businesses, right? Then we have seen the amount which the Indian businesses have to pay is 6% of the gross amount which they are paying to these advertisement companies. And then if annual payment of the non-resident company exceeds 1 lakh rupees per annum, then only tax has to be paid. If the amount which you are paying to the non-resident company, if it is below 6 lakh rupees, no need to pay equalization levy. And the last thing is, it is to be paid by Indian businessman or Indian company, not by the advertisement company which is not registered in India. So tax has to be paid by a Indian business. So I hope equalization levy 1.0 is clear. It was brought by government in the year 2016. Now in 2020, government brought one more kind of equalization levy which is called as equalization levy 2.0. This equalization levy, it was imposed not on advertisement companies but on e-commerce companies. Again, the same e-commerce companies which are not registered in India, which are not a company of Indian origin. And because these are foreign e-commerce companies, again these companies were also, even though they were making or they were doing business in India, they were making money from India, but they were also not paying tax to India. And hence, in this case, government has imposed equalization levy 2.0 on e-commerce companies. They have to pay 2% of the gross revenue which they are making from businesses in India. So let's say Amazon, a company, if it is doing e-commerce business in India, whatever revenue they generate overall, 2% of it which they generate from India, 2% of it they have to give it to government of India. Please remember, this tax, it is on revenue, not on profit, right? The next thing is, it will be applicable only on those companies whose annual revenue from India exceeds rupees 2 crore. So minimum, if you make rupees 2 crore every year from India, then only you have to pay this equalization levy, and it is paid directly by companies, not by customers. So I hope objective of equalization levy 2.0 is also clear, because again here the e-commerce companies which are not resident of India, these companies were not paying tax to India, and secondly the resident companies, they were paying tax and these companies were not paying tax, and hence it was not a level playing field, it was not a equal condition for both kind of companies. Now this equalization levy 1.0 as well as 2.0 both have been criticized by many foreign governments, especially by USA, because you see most of these companies, most of the big advertisement companies as well as e-commerce companies which are doing business in India, they are of US origin. So the US government, they say, government of USA, it says that the Indian government which has imposed equalization levy, these are discriminatory in nature. They discriminate the US based companies over other companies, and hence because of USA's request, because of the USA's pressure, in 2024 equalization levy 2.0 was anyhow abolished. It was abolished in the year 2024 itself, and now government has decided to abolish equalization levy 1.0 as well. So Now let's compare the Equalisation Levy 1.0 and 2.0. So Equalisation Levy 1.0 versus 2.0. So the differences between two is, this levy, it was imposed in the year 2016, it was imposed in the year 2020, it was imposed on digital advertisement companies, the companies which give digital advertisement. It was imposed on e-commerce companies. Both the companies were of the companies which are not a resident of India. Then the tax which was to be paid is 6% here, 6% of what a businessman in India is giving to the digital advertisement company. Here the tax was 2% of the amount which a e-commerce company is making or generating here in India, revenue basically. Here the threshold was only if you are paying more than 1 lakh rupees per annum, then only you have to pay this tax. Here the threshold was only if an e-commerce company is making more than 2 crore rupees in India, then only they have to pay 2% of it. And lastly, here the tax has to be paid by Indian businessmen. But here in 2.0 the tax has to be paid by e-commerce company. So I hope the differences between two is clear. So the next thing is, when we understand the need of imposing Equalisation Levy, why government is removing it now? Why the government has decided to remove it now? You see, first and the most important reason is, right now India is facing the threat of something called as reciprocal tariff by President Trump of USA, and hence India, it is in the process of pleasing the government of USA. We ourselves suo moto are reducing many kind of taxes so that the tax differential between India and USA comes down, and USA does not impose reciprocal tariff on India. In the same process, for the same reason, India is also negotiating the terms of bilateral trade agreement with USA. We have also reduced taxes on many US goods, for example Harley Davidson bike, for example some whiskies, bourbon whiskey of USA. So basically India, it suo moto on its own is reducing taxes on many of the US goods. So that is first thing, that because we are under tremendous US pressure, USA from 2nd of April they have announced to impose reciprocal tariff on India. The next thing is, it will be good for Indian businessmen. Reason being, right now if Indian businessman he or she is posting any ad on these companies, they are faced with 6% of levy, right? So which makes their cost even higher. So hence monetarily it will be good for Indian businessmen. The next potential benefit of removing this levy is that it might attract more investment from foreign companies. The foreign companies, especially the companies in digital sector, they are till now hesitating to invest more in India because of these kind of taxes, because of more compliance burden from government of India. And because if we remove these taxes, there might be more investment into India in digital economy. And hence these are the potential reasons why government has now decided to remove Equalisation Levy. On the other hand, there will be some drawbacks, there will be some limitation, there will be some drawbacks of removing these kind of this Equalisation Levy. First will be, there will be huge loss of revenue for the government. Reason being, till now government was getting nearly $1 billion every year in the form of Equalisation Levy. Now that revenue will be foregone. The second potential drawback of this removal of this Equalisation Levy is, now Indian companies, they will be at a disadvantageous position. So let's say again, if a Indian company which also does the same work, they also provide the digital advertisement service, if they make some profit, they have to pay corporate tax on that profit. But if a American based company is giving the same service to an Indian businessman, if they make profit, they don't have to pay any tax, and hence they will be in a advantageous position. So I hope the issue of equalization levy is clear to you all, why it was imposed, why government is removing it now. So thank you so much for watching this video.